Hey everybody, I'm going to show you how to hook up your new animation for your cleric so that you can actually press a button in-game and have it play. First, confirm that your animation is on your character, so when I select cleric dude, my animation window will show the current animations for him. If cleric attack, or that new attack animation that you made, or whatever animation it is, isn't in this list, it means you need to go into the animator and make sure it's in there. So I can just click and drag this over into here. And then when I go back into scene view, it should be in this list. I can give it a play to make sure it works. And in my case, I had forgotten to hook up the mace, so let me do that real quick. Okay, good. Make sure that the other animations don't look weird, like this one. Let's pop that forward. There we go. It's still going through the leg, but that's okay for the tutorial. So I've got my animations, I know they work. I've made sure that cleric attack is inside this animator window. Remember, this animator window is the blend tree that actually makes sure that everything can play. If you don't have an attacking parameter, then you have no way of actually telling the code, telling the program to play this animation. This is just kind of floating in space right now. So under parameters, if I click this little plus button and say trigger, I'll call that attacking, and now I can access this variable as part of my blend tree. So now I say from any state, right click, make transition to cleric attack. So I can enter cleric attack from any state, and then this arrow right here is the condition. So when, how, why does that happen? So if I turn my attention to the inspector now, I can see the default condition for any new animation is exit time. Exit time basically means when the previous animation has finished playing, right? The animation, whatever state it is, any state, it could be walk, it could be idle, it could be anything. It will wait until that animation finishes, that's what exit time is, and then it will play the next animation. We don't want that. If we press the attack button and we're in the middle of walking, we don't want him to finish walking and then attack. We want him to attack right away. So I'm going to change exit time into attacking. That's it. So now the animator will exit cleric attack from any state as long as attacking is set, and that's our trigger right here. Okay, so when I click on cleric dude now, I'm just going to go into the script for this object. So here's simple character walk, and quick walkthrough of this script. All it's really doing is on update, so every frame it's checking to see if there's a value to the horizontal axis. We haven't used horizontal axis yet. What the horizontal axis is it's left-right basically. So in all game engines, when we're dealing especially with joystick input, we use get axis instead of get key, because we don't want to write a long if statement saying if they press A, move left, if they press right or left arrow, they press left, if they joystick left, they move left, etc. We can use get axis horizontal, and then we can get, the -1 value is left, 1 is right, and then the values in between are a little bit left or a little bit right, or 0 for nothing. So this if statement says if input get axis horizontal exclamation equals 0, this means not equals. If it's not equal to 0, then we're going to do all this stuff. So what we're doing here is we're saying set the boolean walking. Turn your attention back to where that is. That's this one right here. So this is a boolean of the animator. You notice we have a reference to the animator up here. So set the boolean walking to true, and then we're rotating him and moving him according to which left or right coordinate we have. This line actually doesn't need to be inside both if statements because it's the same in each, so I can remove that. There we go. Cool. Otherwise we're setting walking to false, so if the get axis horizontal is 0, then walking gets cancelled. So we'll just make a new if statement here. We're basically just listening for a button press, and when that button is pressed, we are going to play the new animation that we just made. So I'm going to say input.getButton, Fire 1. Fire 1 is it's a built-in button that Unity gives us. Basically, inside the input manager, we can configure these names, Fire 1, Fire 2, Fire 3, Jump, whatever we want to call them, and then we can assign them button mappings. It's easier than referring to individual key codes. So if I get button Fire 1, I want the Animator to set trigger, because remember we made attacking a trigger, not a boolean. Attacking. And that's all we need to hook up the attack animations. Now when the program listens for Fire 1 to be pressed, it will set the trigger attacking to true. So let's give it a play and try that out. So I can walk like I could before. Fire 1 defaults to left mouse button, so I should be able to click. There you go, and play the attack animation. So you'll notice that he gets frozen in the attack animation afterwards. I'm clicking more and nothing's happening. I have to walk to get him back out of that animation. The reason that's happening is, when we look in the animator, you see any state moves into cleric attack, but cleric attack doesn't have anything moving out of it. After cleric attack is played, it doesn't really know what to do. So we can right click this, make a transition from the attack animation back to the idle animation, so that when the character's done attacking, they'll go back to the idle cycle. In this case, we want to keep this exit time because we want this attack animation to complete before we go back into idle. There we go. So he attacks, and then at 70%, right, 70% of the way into the animation, he starts blending back into idle. And we can change how fast that is here. I can make it just a sliver of time, so then he kind of pops back to that pose. Or we could make it a very, very long transition and really soften the last bit of that animation there. I think the default, though, 70% was pretty smart, so we'll stick with that. And that's it. If you want to hook up more animations, all you have to do is make sure that they exist in the animator, that you make a new parameter for them. So I can make a new trigger called jump if I have a jump animation. If I had a jump here, I would just right click from any state, make transition to it, make sure it goes back to idle when it's done, and then make a new entry in the script binding it to another button. So for example, Fire 2, we'd set the trigger jumping.